cool down. How many of you guys got points taken off for not labeling your two number lines? Okay, it's very beneficial, and you gotta label them so that you know which numbers are what and what they stand for. All right, how many of you guys circled your answers essentially on your double number line? All right, if you did not do that, I recommend you doing that, just because it's a little bit more visual. It's kind of secluding, like this one and then this one. All right, and also be careful. If it's telling you 20 cups of flour, what are you looking for? The what? If you're looking for the 20 cups, so you find that there. And then it says how many teaspoons? Well, directly down, if you did this correctly, should be your correct number of teaspoons. Also, remember guys, you're multiplying the original ratio every time. You're not multiplying this one or increasing by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and this gives you the ratio right here. So if you didn't read it carefully, you just kind of threw something up there and it didn't make any sense. So just be very careful with how you're completing these, because this one was not a terribly hard one. I expected a lot more 100s, but we kind of struggled a little bit with this. So please make sure you're labeling. So if you didn't label, please put the labels on there now. And you can even just write cups and teaspoons. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a full description, but have something on there telling you exactly what it is. And then if you didn't get the right answer, you can resubmit this. So if you want to do that, you can do that as well. All right, so Xing out your right page. Let's move on to our next page. Can you get some water?
No.
Okay, so yesterday we used and kind of learned a little bit about double number lines. So today, the lesson, we are going to be creating them and then using them. All right, so for our warm-up this morning, it says, locate and label the following numbers on the number line. So you have these 5 numbers that you are going to label on this number line, and it starts at 0 and goes to 2. I'm gonna give you, let's say 2 minutes. If you finish before then, please stand up. Go ahead. Okay, so half, or let me ask you this, what was the strategy that you used to kind of help you put your numbers on your number line? Like, what was your strategy?
I started the 1/2 first, and I knew that 1/2 was bigger than 1/4, so I just went from biggest to lowest, so I got up to 2 and 4. Yeah, 2.
Okay. Did anybody place a 1, like a whole number 1 on theirs? Okay. So 1, I would say kind of goes right in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. But then, so Delilah, between 0 and 1, where does your half go?
In the middle.
In the middle? Okay. So for 1/4, where is that gonna go? Where'd you guys, bless you, where'd you, Troy?
Kind of beginning, right after the 0,
So like real close to it or kind of in the middle?
kind of in the middle.
Okay. Perfect. All right, what about 1 and 1/3? I'm sorry, 1 and 3/4, sorry. Mikhail,
That go like 1
can't hear anything you're saying, baby.
we'll go more to like 1.
Towards the end, okay? So like right here, okay? All right, where does 1.5 or 1.5 go? Ronnie,
I put it right above the 1.5.
where though? Like, based off of our numbers that are on there right now, where did you put it?
In the middle.
Right here?
Yeah.
That is our whole number 1. So if 1.5, is that greater than 1, less than 1,
Plus the
1.5? So do you have a whole number in this number? Is 1 a whole number? Yes, so we know it's either gonna be here or to the right. Okay? Troy,
It would be in between the 1 and the 2, because it said 1.5. So he's right.
like right there,
Yes.
okay? All right, and then what about 1 and 75/100ths? Where's that one gonna go? Jonathan?
It's gonna go like right under 1 3/4 because they're the same number.
Those are the same thing, except for one's a decimal, one's a fraction. Perfect. All right, now number 2 says, based on where you place the numbers, locate and label 4 more fractions or decimals on the number line. So this one we're gonna do together. So somebody give me another fraction or decimal. Doesn't really matter. William,
3/4.
okay, where's that gonna go?
Right next to 1, or after 1.5.
Okay. All right, what's another one? Mikhail,
1
1 and 1/4. All right, what's another one? Someone other than Mikhail. Someone other than Troy. Delilah. 1.6. So that's gonna go like right here.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then one more, guys. One more. All right, Mila. 2/4, which is gonna go above our half, right? All right, so just kind of getting our minds thinking about number lines and essentially like where exactly numbers are located. Let's slide down to the second activity. So it says, the other day we made green water by mixing 5 milliliters of blue water with 15 milliliters of yellow water. We can make them, or we want to make a very small batch of the same shade of green water. We need to know how much yellow water to mix with only 1 milliliter of blue water. All right. So on the number line for blue water, label the 4 tick marks that are up here. So for blue water, if our ratio is 5 to 15, we want to know how much yellow water we're going to need for 1. So where do you think on this right here, where do you think 1 goes? Where do you think 1 goes? Tyler?
Yeah.
This one? Okay. How many tick marks do we have from past 0 to 5? How many tick marks do we have? Isabella? 5 or 4? 4.
4 in between.
Right, so we have 4. So essentially, if you're counting, and you know that 1 is going to go here, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So your tick marks kind of help you determine what increments you're going to be increasing. So 1 is here, 2 is here, 3 is here, 4 is here. All right, number 2. So over here on the top right side, I'm going to leave this here so we can keep working on it though. It says, on the number line for yellow water, draw and label tick marks to show the amount of yellow water needed for each amount of blue water. So this is where we kind of got to do some math, right? You have to say to yourself, well, how do I go from 5 to 1? How do I go from 5 to 1? What operation am I going to do to go from 5 to 1? Aiden? Divide. So over here, I'm going to do essentially 5 divided by what to give me 1? 5, okay? So that gives me 1. So I know that that's how I get there. So then if I divide by 5 on the top, what must I do on the bottom? What must I do on the bottom? If I divided by 5 on the top, what do I gotta do on the bottom? Cristiano?
Divided by 5.
Divided by 5 as well. So the number on the bottom is 15. So I'm going to do 15, divided by 5. And that's, what do I multiply 5 by to get 15? Cristiano? So my first number for the bottom is 3. Okay? So now we have to figure out the rest of them. So my unit rate is 1 to 3. So 1 milliliter of blue to 3 milliliters of yellow. So then if I have 2 milliliters of blue, how much yellow am I going to have? And be prepared to explain how you know. Emma?
6 because you multiply 1 of you by 2, and that gives you.
So you're telling me that this is 2. We multiplied by 2. Okay? So then what do we multiply 1 by to get 3? What do we multiply 1 by to get 3? Leo?
3.
Mm-hmm. So if I multiply the top by 3, what do I got to multiply by the bottom by 3? And what number am I multiplying on the bottom? Ronnie?
3 times 3.
Yep. Which is going to give me,
9.
and then this one is times 4, which gives me 12 to 15. All right. So this is the process that you're going through when you're creating a double number line. All right. Number 3, it says how much yellow water should, oh, sorry, we forgot to. So we'd have 3 milliliters yellow. And then, okay. So number 4 says how much yellow water should be used for 11 milliliters of water. Okay? So how do we figure this out? So we're looking for 11 milliliters of blue water. So are we putting, excuse me, are we putting the 11 on the top here? Or are we putting the 11 on the bottom here? Where does the 11 go? Start with that. Troy,
The top.
why?
Because.
Eighth grade teachers, please report to the PLC room. At this time, eighth grade teachers, please report to the PLC room.
So look in question number 4 for me.
I had my finger going.
You what?
I don't know if you can see.
It's okay. So look in question number 4 and read it to yourself and then tell me why we're putting the 11 on the top line.
Because once it says 11 liters of blue water.
Right, because it's telling us 11 milliliters of blue water. So we're going to put that here. Now, without filling out the rest of our number line in here, can we figure out what this is going to be? Can we figure it out? What are we increasing by essentially on the bottom? What are we increasing by? 3, right? So if this is 30, and we add 3 to 30, what do we get? 33. So we'll have 33 milliliters of yellow water. All right, the next question says how much yellow water should be used for 8 milliliters of blue water. So let's slide over here. We did number 3.
Number three. Number two.
No, number 2 we just labeled.
Oh.
Yeah. Alright. So if we continue increasing, what do I multiply 1 by to get 5? What do I multiply 1 by to get 5? This is easy stuff, guys. Like everybody should be participating with this. Emmeline.
5.
Alright, so I'm going to multiply this by 5. So then what do I multiply 1 by to get 6?
6.
Alright, so Emmeline, what is 3 times 6?
18.
18. Alright, Emmeline, what do I multiply 1 by to get 7?
7.
So then what am I going to, or what is 3 times 7?
21.
Okay, and then made my numbers too close together, sorry. And then Emmeline, what do I multiply 1 by to get 8?
8.
So what do I get when I multiply 3 times 8?
24.
24. So then how many yellow milliliters would we have if we had 8 milliliters of blue water?
24 milliliters.
Yep, perfect. So 24 milliliters of yellow water. And then the last question, it says, why is it useful to know how much yellow water should be used for 1 milliliter of blue water? So why is that really important to us? Like, why couldn't we just use the 5 to 15? Why did we kind of need that 1 to, what was it, 1 to 3? What do you guys think? Ronnie?
Because it was the original.
But-
5 to 15 was the original.
So 5 to 15 was the original, but the question is asking, why is it useful to know how much yellow water should be used for 1 milliliter of blue? So why is this ratio super important to us for creating this double number line? Why was that ratio important to us? Delilah?
I mean, if a word problem, it said it wanted to have the same shade in water. So the ratio is important to us, so they can have an even shade in water.
Right. So it's important to us because we want to keep the same shade, oops, only spelled backwards one, shade of green water. And we cannot do that without knowing our, like, very first, what we started with, that 1 to 3. So 1 milliliter of blue water to 3 milliliters of yellow water. All right, does everybody have this written down? All right, in your notebook, on this page that we wrote our title on, is where we're going to be creating our double number line for the next part. So it says a recipe for paste says for every 2 pints of water, mix 8 cups of flour. So our ratio is 2 pints of H2O to 8 cups flour. All right, so we need to know that because that's our ratio that is given to us. It says to use a ruler for 2 parallel lines. We are not. So down here, I want you to just draw the straightest possible line. Give yourself, and yes, I want you to skip the same number of lines I am. So you're skipping 3 lines, well, 3 spaces, and then drawing another straight line. Give me a thumbs up when you have this done. All right, number 2 says, label the first line pints of water. So we're labeling this one pints of H2O. Label the second line cups of flour. All right. C says draw at least 6 equally spaced tick marks that line up on both lines. So we're gonna start with the very first one, which is what? What was it? 0. So you have a 0 here and a 0 here. Now, what was our ratio that we were given in our problem originally? Mikhail? I can't hear what you're saying, babe. 2 to what? No, baby. It's written on our paper, y'all. What was our original ratio? What did it, they gave it to us. What's our original ratio? We wrote it on our paper. Camden? 2 to 8. So we have 2 pints of H2O to 8 cups of flour. What would be the next one I would write on here? So what would be this one? And how do you know? Christiana, what would that one be?
4 to 16.
And how do you know?
Because we have to multiply 2 to 8 by 2.
So you'd multiply by 2? And so this one is multiplied by 1. Alright, what would be the next one? What would be the next one? William.
6 to 24.
And how do you know that?
You multiply 8 by 3, 4 by 3, it equals 6 to 24.
Not by 3, or not by 4. What's our original ratio?
If you multiply 2 by 3, it equals 6, and then if you multiply 8 by 3, it equals 34.
Perfect. Alright, I want you guys to do the next 3. Stand up when you have this done. Yo, yo. We have 100% federal cards turned in. Means we get an extra card.
Yes.
What? Sorry. Got a little shy for a second. Alright, about 10 more seconds. Alright, Isaac, what would the next one be? So, like, what are we going to be multiplying? Start with that. What are we gonna be multiplying by? 4. So what is 2 times 4? Okay, and then what is 8 times 4? Yes, good job. All right, Leo, what's the next one? What are we multiplying by next?
1.
Okay. So what is 2 times 5?
9.
And then what is 8 times 5?
40.
And then the last one. Olivia, what are we multiplying by?
6.
Okay. So what is 2 times 6?
12.
And what is 8 times 6?
48.
Perfect. All right. Now, the D and E are very confusing sounding, but essentially it's asking you to label the batches, like the number of batches. So technically, when you set up your double number line like this, these are the number of batches that you can make, right? So you've already kind of done that by showing this step. And if you don't have the room to show it in here, you can always show it on the top and the bottom. I just like it here, it just makes a little bit more sense for me because I'm like, okay, I go here, 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 here. But really, if you wanted to put it on the top and the bottom, you can do that as well. But just remember, these numbers in the middle stand for the number of batches that you're making. All right, flip your paper over. Number 3. It says next, use your double number line, to answer these questions. How much flour should be used for 10 pints of water? So let's go to our double number line. And what are we looking for on our double number line? What are we looking for? Aiden.
10 pints of water.
All right, so I'm gonna go to my pints, 10 pints. So I'm gonna circle this whole thing. So then, how many cups of flour am I going to use? Aiden. 40. So 40 cups of flour. All right, B says, how much water should be used for 24 cups of flour? All right, so what am I looking for on my double number line? Tyler.
24 cups of flour.
All right, so I'm on the cups of flour, so I'm going down, I find 24, and again, I'm gonna circle all of this to keep it together. So then if I find 24, how many cups of water am I supposed to use?
6.
6. Or how many pints, sorry, 6 pints of water. And then the last question says, how much per pint of water does this recipe use? So per pint, what does that mean? What does that mean? Troy, what do you think?
1 pint.
Per 1 pint. So I essentially have to say, okay, well, my original ratio was 2 to 8. I need to know how much flour I'm gonna need for 1. So you say to yourself, how do I go from 2 to 1? Noah, how do I go from 2 to 1?
Right.
By. All right, so if I divide the top by 2, what do I have to do to the bottom? And then Noah, what is 8 divided by 2? 8 divided by 2? You don't know? Okay. Isabella? 4. So, you will need 4 cups of flour. All right, questions about creating your own double number line? None? How do we feel about it? Okay, well, we are about to find out. Go ahead, glue this in. You can fold it over. Now, be careful because I do not want you to cover up your double number lines that you created today.
Put it at the bottom down. Where you put it in the corner.
Alright, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna glue it down and then just fold it just enough so that you can see what you did. Alright, so if you are done with Imagine Math, once you're done with your pull down, put your pull down face down, please. You should not be working on it, please listen. You are working on Lexia. If you are done with your Lexia, you are working on any possible makeup work for any class that you need to do. Alright, our grade books close tomorrow. So if there is anything that is missing that you are able to turn in to any of your teachers, that is what you are working on. Okay, if you are done with everything, you have no makeup work, nothing, you are either of choice, Lexia or Imagine. What? Or if you are doing Battle of the Books, yeah, that's fine. Okay, alright, go ahead and get started. We're not